Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh man, Joe, we got another rom-com tonight, baby. Whew. Man, these movies, these rom-coms, they really. I mean, we talked about it another time. Like if there was a Joe Cimino movie pack of 3. There's got to be a rom-com in there. I don't get it, man. I don't know why I'm so cheesy for the rom-coms.
You really are. And I gotta say, Joe, when I sat down to watch this movie, it's The Big Sick, by the way, if you couldn't read the G-dang title. I sat down this morning to watch it, day of recording, year of our Lord 2021, and I was not in the mood to watch this, let me tell you. I had just finished the final episode of Kill la Kill, I think the night prior, or the morning of? No, I don't remember.
What a jump.
But I just finished that, and I was like all super hyped on that, and then I was like, oh, now I have to watch The Big Sick. And I sat there for a minute, and I contemplated, I'm like, can I watch like a YouTube video essay and get this quickly? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do Joe dirty like that. I gotta respect his decision. And so I watched it, and yeah, I've got some things to say about this movie, Joe. So, why don't we hop into it? If the fuck, that means I gotta do the rapid fire recap.
Yes.
Okay. Hang on, let me prepare my thoughts. This, that, yeah, okay, give me the countdown.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so movie opens up. You're in a comedy club. You're following a couple different characters. You got Kamal Nanjiani playing Kamal. I don't know if his last name is Nanjiani. It doesn't really come up in the movie as far as I know. But he's playing himself because this movie is loosely based on his actual real life, and we'll touch on that a little bit more later on. But so he's in a comedy club. He's doing all right. He's got a friend not doing so hot, and then he's got another friend. It's Beau who's doing really hot, and it's really fun just to see those different like comedian people like all doing their own sort of shit. And then he's talking up some girl who was kind of heckling, quote unquote, we'll get into it, at the bar, and he does a little trick with her, and she's like, does this work for everyone? And he's like, maybe, is it working on you? And they go back to their apartment, or his apartment. They put on a movie, which is code for they have sex. But they also do put on a movie too. And they're like, we don't, the girl's like, her name is Emily, by the way. She's like, I don't want to date anyone. I'm not in the place to date right now. And he's like, oh yeah, no, totally. So within like 30 seconds, they begin dating, and it's like a wonderful, beautiful, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Then, tragedy strikes. Emily finds a little cigar box, and inside, pictures of Indian women. And Kamal is all like, it's not what you think, I swear to God. And then Emily has a massive blow up, and then she runs off, and then they're kind of broken up. I think it's kind of looks a little bit ambiguous, which is not very good for then later on in the movie. She goes into the coma comes later, but she gets real sick and she goes to a hospital, and then thanks to Kamal, they kind of put her into a medically induced coma. It's a lot, that makes it sound a lot worse than it actually is. It's not that bad. But anyway, moving on, through those shenanigans, Kamal then meets her parents, and they have some real tumultuous times in the beginning, and then they kind of grow to see each other, each as different people with their own problems and their own shit going on, and it's kind of beautiful. And then Kamal, through these experiences, learns to stand to his own parents and his heritage, and he's just like, I want to be my own fucking person. And then after that, Emily wakes up from the coma after a couple of really weird, scary patches, but we'll get into a little bit later on. And so Kamal goes back and he preaches his love to her, and she's just like, I don't think so. So then he fucks off to New York. But then, when he's in New York, given his most recent stand-up, one girl heckler is heckling him again. And he looks and he sees, and it's Emily, and he's just like, yeah, baby, we're gonna go put on another movie, which is, again, code for they're gonna have sex. And that's how the movie ends.
That was pretty accurate. That was a good one. That was the best thing, Joe. That was like probably your smoothest one. Like I think there's been a couple more where like I'm like, wow, the detail has been insane and how fast you moved. But that one, you like took no breaks. You just had it all going, man. That was impressive.
I was like pacing. Keep the pacing going. Keep the fucking pacing going.
I can see you tapping your foot or like tapping your leg, making sure you're like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go.
The leg was bouncing the entire time, Joe. I assure you. Hopefully the mic didn't pick up any like the rabbit
No,
of.
no, no, no. This is all just pre Joe experienced imagery in my mind of how I just view everything. Yeah, no,
Wonderful.
Joe. I mean, look, this. So this is, I think it's 2016. This came out.
2017, I believe.
17.
Hang on,
Okay.
let's check the plastic brick.
Yeah, please do.
The big sick. 2017, I was correct. Eat my. Okay, sorry.
My goodness, wow. I mean, we talked enough about that in Chef, but moving on.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, so this is 2017 rom-com, I guess. Again, one of those where it's a rom-com, but really, is it? Is it?
No, I would fully say this is a rom com. I mean, most of
Okay.
the actors and like characters are comedians doing funny shit, so I would definitely qualify this as a rom com.
It's a pretty unique one though. At least I think. I've never seen anything like this, and for the longest time, I kept getting recommended this movie by fellow friends that like rom-coms, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. Seems a little weird. It's an Amazon Studios movie. Get that out of here.
Yeah, that was when I clicked play because it's on Amazon Prime. That's why I watched it. I was like, am I in the right thing? Because it's weird seeing Kamal credited as himself, and he introduces himself. He's like, "Hello, I'm Kamal," and I was just like, did I click on like a documentary of the making of this? What the fuck is this?" When I saw Amazon Studios, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a little weird, and but once you get into it, it gets rolling. But yeah, I was kind of resistant to this movie, and then eventually, I think it was during quarantine. It was like one of those where it's like, might as well. And the first watch, I was like, wow. I'm like that. I mean, spoiler alert, that was great. I enjoyed it. I was like, wow. I'm like, that's like one of the newer rom-coms that I've seen in a while that I've actually enjoyed. Like, it's been a while since saw something that I'm like, wow, that was original, that was unique, that was like heartwarming, like that was when it wasn't too cliche either. Um, yeah, and I really enjoyed it. So I've only that was like, yeah. So in quarantine is when I first watched it, and this is my second time only watching it. But yeah, watching it the second time around, I watched it today because my weekend was busy. But man, I had a good time enjoying this. This is a very cool movie, a cool story. Um, and I mean, the biggest thing that like I want to talk about is definitely Kumail and the characters. I mean, what a great cast and some great characters. But Joe, what are your general thoughts? After finishing this thing.
Um, so we all know rom coms aren't really my thing. Let me just preface this with that, because after finishing this movie, I will say I didn't count precisely how many times, but I believe I paused this movie about 47 times to go do something else or to check my phone or to do whatever the fuck I was doing because I was quite bored with the majority of this movie. That being said, there were some bits that I really enjoyed. Most of them involved Bo Burnham. That's just because I fucking love Bo Burnham. I wish he had a bigger role, but I understand this movie's not about him. And a lot of this movie, I just found myself cringing at. And it's kind of like the cringe comedy that you're a big fan of, but a lot of it I didn't enjoy. I was very much like, and then I would pause, and then I would get up and I'd go like take a drink of water. I would just walk around my room a little bit, and I'd just be like, God, I gotta fucking finish this goddamn movie. And I'd sit back down and I'd be like, all right, here we go. And I press play, and then I get through the next thing, and I was like, okay, yep, no, we're fine. We hate that is very good line, very good. I love that bit. That's a great bit in the movie. And then we get to another cringe part, and I'm just like, fuck, okay, pause it again. Take a bit deep in there, and maybe deep it out. Okay, we're gonna press play again. And then we press play, and then we keep on going. So, it's got good things in it. It's not a bad movie, but personally, I'm never going to watch this movie ever again.
Would one of those cringe moments be when Ray Romano asked Kumail if they can talk about 9/11?
That was one of them. And then he responds,
With
like, you never talked to anyone about 9/11 with? And he's like, no, someone, like, you, and I was just like, I can't fucking handle this right now. I was
bro,
like, this
bro.
is so
The first
cringy.
time when he's like he's so casual. He's like, well, we lost 19 of our best guys that day. I remember the
Mhm.
first time hearing that being like, oh my god, that's fucked
I
up.
knew it was coming. I was like, when he says that, he's like, yeah, it was a tragedy. We lost 19 of our best. I was like, that's a good line. And the both the parents just kind of look at him, and I'm just like, no, I know your daughter is in a medically induced coma, and it's partially this guy's. Well, it's entirely because this guy signed the waivers, but that was fine. Um, so it's a troubling time for you, but the fact that neither one of them was just like, we get it. You don't have to. But then he was just like, I'm sorry, that was a joke. I was like, yeah, of course it's a fucking joke.
Oh man, I love Kumail. Okay. So we got both of our general opinions out there, and so let's get into
Hmm.
a little bit of the weeds of this. So,
Yeah.
the cast, right? So we got Kumail playing
Uh
himself.
huh.
Um,
I'm okay with that.
yeah, I like his comedy is my type of comedy. Um,
His comedy is not my type of comedy. But it is a little bit. Again, we hate terrorists. Good line. Um, good delivery. Good bit. I'm just there was a point that I wanted to bring up with this, and it completely escaped my. Oh, his stand-up bits. I don't know. I didn't do research into this. Was Kamal like a stand-up guy before he did acting? Do you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
He was.
yes.
Was any of this stuff real stuff that he used? Because if it was, I found it painfully unfunny. And that might
No,
have been the point of it because it was like bad, but I found everything he did in his stand up routine, even the shit at the end, painfully unfunny.
yeah, no. I'm pretty sure that wasn't like him taking actual material from like stand up. I think that was just kind of trying to show that like I thought I was gonna make it. I wanted to make it as a comedian, and I was just say really awkward jokes that were like half funny, not really funny. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, trust me, I agree. There is a whole different level of awkwardness to his actual stand up where you're I'm like, wow, I'm kind of laughing at this just because Kumail's like hit the negativity in his voice, like how how he's like, yeah, this or this, and I'm like, wow, I'm like this poor guy, and it's almost like I'm laughing at him instead of what he's saying, um,
Yeah. I
but
was definitely, if I was laughing at all, I was like, God, this fucko loser bullshit.
dude, oh man. So Kumail, we have Emily, who is literally just shout out Mr. Mark Pappas is literally the cookie cutter of the women that Mark Pappas like. Um,
Why
I
you
mean,
gotta shout him out like that?
I just saw her and I'm like, wow, Mark would be in love with her. Mark, I
Mm,
love you. I say this with love. She's cool.
mm.
I like her. She's all right. Um,
I
two of my
don't.
favorite characters though are Ray Romano, Cherry, and oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget the mom's name and the actress's name. Damn it. Um, Either
Holly,
way,
Heather, fuck, what's her name? Hang on, I'm looking it up again. I'm using the plastic box, Joe. Hang on, it's Holly Hunter. I was right. I knew it. She plays Beth.
okay, okay, yeah, she. I love those two. Those two are probably my favorite characters.
Yeah, I enjoy the parents, which I find very funny because I don't like Emily like at all in this movie. There's a few like I liked her a bit in the beginning, and then I had this written down as a note, and I was like, I'll get to this later, but we're in it right now, so let's just talk about it right now. Um, this is a 2 hour long movie, Joe. The first 30 minutes is the entirety of what would normally be in a standard rom-com, where it's like you have the bit in the beginning where they're kind of flirting with each other, but they're like, no, we shouldn't really do this. I don't really want to do this. And then they get together, and then they're together and they're happy. And then there's the big emotional blowout where something happens, like someone was lying or cheated, or it doesn't line up. And so this would normally be like the big climax of the rom-com, and then you know whatever else happens. But it's like you have basically three-fourths of the entire movie in the first fourth of like a normal rom-com movie in the first fourth of this movie. Um, but then when we get to that point where Emily has the big blow up at Kamal, I find it so comically like exaggerated and so unjustified to be that insane that I just can't do anything but feel like she's just some like overreacting diva. Well, not a diva maybe, but like just a massive overreaction. And I think that, and then the fact that she then is rude to him when he comes to like when she ends up being in the hospital and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm just here to make sure you're okay. Like your friend called and asked me." I was like pissed off at her for that, and then she just goes into a coma for the rest of the movie until the end. So like none of like the shit that happens in the movie ever makes me sympathetic towards her, and I just end up despising her for most of this movie, even though she is in a very rough patch of her life.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Maybe not as strongly, but yeah, it's definitely like her reaction to it is very wild. Like even Kumail even fucking said that. He goes, "Are you supposed to be a fucking therapist to be able to deal with this shit?"
Well, he said that line, and I was like, she doesn't like, she can't control her emotions. It's just like you just deal with them. And then she was like, "I'm expressing my emotions." I was like, good, yes, fair point. I'm not saying he's like completely not in the wrong. I'm just
No,
saying her
no.
reaction was insane for what actually happened.
It seemed a little not out of character, but not realistic.
Yeah, it seemed like there were a couple steps that we were missing to get her to that point. Like she kept going, "Oh, the red flags," and I was like, "What red flags?" And I guess like the 2-day rule and the not seeing his family, but like it's not terribly insane. He's not sleeping with all these women in his cigar box. He's literally just being like, "Okay, thanks, mom," and he just throws them in and he doesn't care. And she makes it out to be like he's fucking all of these women, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was a bit strange, and I wonder, so this is pretty much based off Kumail's and his wife's story, how they met and everything like that.
Yes.
So I wonder if that blow up was him trying to accurately depict what happened to him. Again, I don't know because even if someone told me that that happened, I would think, wow, that was a bit of an overreaction or a bit wild. So I don't know, but yes, I completely agree with you. It definitely that's one of the weirder parts in this movie. So yeah, so getting that out there. So Emily, little iffy. Again, I don't mind her that much. But I do understand what you're saying. We have Bo Burnham being kind of like one of the comedians, the girl from SNL, I forget her name, and a couple other comedians that are there just kind of being like his friends. But for me, I feel like the story really picks up once, Kumail has to put Emily in a coma, which is so
Once Emily gets the fuck out of the movie.
and her parents show up, and have this building of a relationship between Kumail and her parents, and Kumail and his parents. Not really a building of a relationship, maybe.
A deconstruction of their relationship more so.
Yeah.
And then a slight reconstruction a bit later on, but yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about the growth of Kumail and Emily's parents?
I think that was by far the more engaging relationship to watch form because it's something different that we haven't really seen before, It's like we've seen a bajillion rom-coms, or maybe you have seen a bajillion. I've seen like, how many have we done on the show? 2, 5, something like that. I've seen approximately 5 rom-coms. Therefore, I've seen them all. But you've seen the basic formula again that I just laid out that was in the first quarter of this movie. And so then the rest of it is the relationship that he's kind of forming with the parents of his not only girlfriend, but like ex-girlfriend who is in a medically induced coma. So it's
Because
like
of
that's
him.
such a yes, because of him. We should clarify. He didn't get her sick. She has her own issue, and he just signed off on the waiver to allow the doctors to put her into the medically induced. He didn't I don't know, infect her with something and then thereby force her to be whatever. Well, you get the point. But it's such a unique situation that it's like, oh, this isn't the kind of relationship that I was expecting to get out of a rom-com. And so seeing him kind of form these bonds then with her parents, by the end of the movie, I was so much more invested. I was like, no, keeping good standing with the parents more than anything. And thankfully, throughout the entire movie, after his blundering and horrible start with them, it gets good, and then it stays good because they understand each other as people, because they've all gone through this traumatic event of the sickness that Emily's been dealing with. And so I find both. Hang on, I still have the names up. So Terry and Beth are the names of the parents. I find them both to be far more compelling characters than Emily, and I find Kamal to be more interesting when he's with them. So I'm just like, whenever the movie focuses on those three, I'm just like, hey, this is solid. Give me more of this, please.
I agree with that. Yes. Definitely my favorite moments are with Kumail, Jerry, and Beth. I love Jerry and Beth as a couple, and also just their characters. I think Ray Romano, I find Ray Romano very funny.
He's got that same sort of that same sort of awkward humor that Kamal is using in this movie.
Yep.
So it's like, I found it fun, but at the same time, it's still not exactly my kind of humor. So I'm just very much like, I see what you're doing, but I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Yeah.
But I understand that it's solid. If you like that kind of humor, this is some pretty good writing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we can agree on those points. And Joe, so I feel like in this movie, there's a lot of like, not iconic moments, but like moments where I'm like, wow, I'm like, that actually I actually laughed a lot in this movie. I find this movie pretty funny. Like Joe, the fucking drive-through scene.
That is a standout scene. I will say that it's a very good standout scene, and I hope that's one of the scenes that is based on real life.
Oh my god!
Because it's so oddly specific. I'm like, it's so specific. I just want 4 slices of cheese on a burger. Okay, I'll get you 4 burgers. No, we're talking human to human, person to person. Look at me.
No.
I just want 4 slices of cheese
Wait.
on 1 burger.
He's like, we can't do that. Who is the we, man? It's just you and
It's
me.
just you and me.
And then he runs up. He's like, look at me when you fuck me. Look at me.
Yes. The look at me when you fuck me. That was good. Like, that was a very good scene. And I pray that was real.
And the guy's like, this is my first day.
This is my first day. That's so good.
I'll bring you up for.
That's...
I'm just gonna bring you up for 4 burgers. Give me 4.
And then he just crumbles, and he's like,
"I'm sorry."
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly.
That scene is fucking great. The fucking scene when they go to his stand up when he was trying to kind of like ditch them, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come to your comedy show," and fucking Beth goes wild on
that entire scene. I was like, I can't. I think I paused thrice in that scene alone. I was like, fuck this scene.
Dude, that's a rough one. Oh my god, when Chris is like, "Oh, what are you guys doing here for?" They're like, "Our daughter's in a coma." And the look of the guy's face, he's like, somebody else.
Immediately dart to Kamal, and Kamal's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "So what's your name?" Is this someone else? So there's some good stuff in here.
Yeah. Come on. You got any good scenes that you enjoyed that made you laugh?
Aside from the ones that we talked about, oh yes, I do. So again, the "we hate terrorists" bit I think is my favorite joke in this. The fun thing about that is though, I've even seen that scene previously because I'm pretty sure it was used a lot in the trailers, and I saw the trailer like a couple times back when this thing was coming out. So the fact that it still hit me, in the funny spot, I was still like, that's a pretty fucking good line. And then Kamal like confronting his parents when the parents finally come to his apartment and talk to him, and then he has that like legitimate conversation with them where he's like, I don't pray, I don't know what I believe. I'm not saying one thing that I don't believe. I'm not saying that I do believe. I'm not saying that I hate our culture. I'm not saying that I love our culture. I just want time to go off on my own and figure things out for myself. And again, it's that perspective of, it's like, it's not telling you, it's not like preaching to the audience, being like one way or another, like, it's totally right to be like this wasn't his journey of being like, oh yes, I should be religious, or oh yes, religion is dumb and it's a good thing that I left it behind. It's just, I'm trying to figure it out. And then the fact that he was, God, it was in my head, and I was like, I need to fucking remember this. This was a very important thing that I can't fucking remember. Oh, hey, when he was talking to them about why leave Pakistan and come to America for a better life if we're just going to do the same exact things. And so I just heard that again. We're not Pakistani. We're just a couple of Italiano white boys living in America, and we have been for our entire lives. And so it's like hearing that perspective on things and just kind of like getting that new concept into my brain. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's true. You did, like, I guess you did come to America for some reason, but it's like you don't want to have your culture just die. So it's like hearing these things and being like, oh God, the balance that people like that must have to try and find with themselves, that's insane. And so like that was the most compelling scene that I found, I think, in the movie. Like that's what I wrote down in my notes. And like thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, if I'm like actually looking through it, it's like this is a point where it's like everything that Kamal as a character has been like dealing with and learning with, and like themes of the movie that kind of like really apply to him. It's like it comes to a head at that point. And then it has repercussions with his family later on, where it's like they kind of like cast him out, even though towards the end they kind of like you're cast out, but it's kind of like it's kind of like the end of like Civil War, where it's like, oh no, the Avengers are split up. Tony and Cap hate each other. Wink, wink. They're gonna be fine later on. It's the same sort of thing. It's like they hate each other, not hate each other, but the family kind of disowned him. But they see him off to New York, and his mother made him his meal the way that he likes with extra potatoes and all that sort of stuff. So it's like things are gonna be okay. You just need a little bit of time.
Yeah, yeah, no, that definitely is one of the most, I guess, real scenes. Like I felt like I literally was just watching a video of like a son talking to his parents. Like it felt like super honest. So yeah, I really enjoyed that scene as well. Um, yeah, I mean that one is probably the most heartfelt. Also, when Kumail is talking to Beth when Jerry's asleep and they're like stress eating and they're looking at the pictures of Emily
Yeah,
and they're
little
talking.
goth Emily.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And they're talking about like how Beth and Jerry met and how hard it was at first, and that like her family didn't like him, and then obviously this is parallels to how Kumail was going to feel if he introduced Emily to his family.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I found that pretty compelling, like especially when she asked like, "Oh, what movie did they see?" And he has no clue. Um, I thought that was really cool to kind of just show like in reality, it didn't really matter what movie they went to see. Like their goal was, okay, we're just setting up this marriage. While something I guess more like an American style would be like, oh, the first movie we ever saw together on our first date and all this stuff. Like I feel like in American culture, that's kind of like a big deal when it comes to relationships, like remembering that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Joe, I mean, there's a couple other scenes that I find really funny. I mean, like when Emily has to take a poop and she doesn't want to poop in the fucking apartment is pretty funny. Um,
I found that so like get the fuck over yourself. I was like, if you can't, if you're fucking someone and you're still like, I can't poop at their house, I'm just like, man up, woman, grow some balls. Everyone poops. We get it.
everybody poops.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's other scenes where it's like when he's introduced to some of his potential brides, and the one woman is like, "The truth is out there," really loudly, and he
I was, God, that was another one where I was like, I paused and I was like, fucking Christ. Jesus Christ.
yeah. Again, this is my type of comedy where it's like I pause and I'm just laughing, but yeah, but so okay. Again, we have two different opinions of this. Like I said, I'm not obsessed with this movie. Like 500 Days of Summer, I'm like, whew, that's like, that will be forever ingrained in me. This I see, and I'm like, as a rom-com fan, I'm like, wow, I'm like, I like this. It's kind of cool. I can completely understand that you probably would not enjoy this. And it was one of those where I'm like, oh, I mean, Bo Burnham is in this, so maybe Joe will like give
For
it.
a grand total of 90 fucking seconds, Joe. 90 seconds.
At least he's pretty funny in it.
He is. His first stand up bit, where I don't remember what the joke was that he did, but when he,
Oh,
his first like joke thing, what
oh,
was it?
when he
Do
when
you
he
know?
when he, and I'm sitting down on her and I'm like, honey, look at those stars. We are such a little speck of dust on this little rock in this little universe full of million of universe. So what? I forgot your birthday. It
Yeah,
cost me
exactly. It's
like that.
inconsequential. That was such like I could see that in one of his specials. I was like, that's fucking great. And then he doesn't do really any more stand up after that. He's just making funny snide remarks at the expense of like what's his roommate's name? CJ?
Chris.
Chris. Okay, yeah. Um but yeah, for anytime Bo Burnham was on, I was like 150% more engaged. I was like, oh fuck yeah, but
All
only
right.
90 seconds, Joe.
My last question for you is, how do you feel about the ending?
Um, it's fine. I was like, I could see it coming from a mile away. I was just sort of like, yeah, they're gonna end up together and all that sort of stuff. And the fact that it was like a parallel to the beginning, I was like, oh, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Um, but it was just a little too cliche for me to really give it a, yeah, I liked it. I was just kind of, and again, I know it's probably very truly based on real life. And Kamal, I'm very happy for you. Yeah, you look great for Eternals, by the way. That hasn't come out yet, but I mean, hopefully that's good. Um, I was just sort of in the context of the movie. I was just like, okay, whatever. I get like most of the rom com stuff in this movie. I'm very much like, whatever. It's fine. I don't care. I don't like it. And then everything else, Bo Burnham, the parental relationships, the take that I'm not aware of with like trying to find your identity in America after coming from Pakistan, all that stuff. I was much more engaged with. So like the actual rom comminess, I was like, ah.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I like the ending. It's definitely cheesy, but it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, she showed up at the end. Because I'm a fucking softball. But, all right, yeah. I mean, I don't got too much to say. I'll give my rating and my final thoughts. If you're a rom-com fan, watch The Big Sick. Um, I'd say when it comes to rom-com, it's got a nice little unique spin on things. It's fairly recent, fairly new, and yeah, give it a look. Kumail's pretty funny. He's my type of humor. Again, this might be hit or miss for some people, but if you're a rom-com fan, like I said, check it out. I give this a 6 out of 10.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd say if you want some interesting takes on the rom com genre that don't completely transform the movie, like it's not all new stuff. It's kind of like 50-50.
Yeah.
Watch this. Like you watch it once and you'll be like, yeah, interesting. And then you'll probably move on if you're not that big of a fan of rom-coms. And with that 50-50, I'm pretty solid in giving this a 5 out of 10. Like it's baseline. I didn't hate watching it despite my 47 pauses of the movie to get through it. But I would definitely lie if I was like, I'm probably going to watch this in a couple months or a year or something like that. If I ever watch this again, it will be a surprise to me.
All right. All right. Well, Joe, with that being said, what are we going to watch next?
Ooh, okay. So I've picked a couple of different things in the last couple of movies. You know, we had Superbad last week. Before that, we had Chef. Before that, we had something else I can't remember.
Tenet.
So Tenet. Yeah. So Joe. I've been off the superhero train for a little while. And this week, the
hold
week
up.
they were recording this.
Hold up. I feel like I can. Whoa, are we going? I'm gonna take a guess.
Okay.
Are we gonna support our number one Patreon subscriber?
Tobey Maguire?
Yes.
No.
Damn it! I want to watch Spider.
Nope. We're not watching Spider-Man this week, Joe. This one does have two S's in it, though. We are going to be supporting a local, very, very small-time industry. They're a very small startup. They're known as Hishbo. Do you know of them, Joe? They got
What?
a little streaming service called Hishbo Max, you know?
Oh my gosh.
I believe that's how you pronounce it. No, but so this week, The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's
Wait, the new
The
one?
Suicide Squad is coming out. Yes.
Oh
August 6th.
shit, boy.
Comes out August. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad this August 6th in theaters and on HBO Max. We're going to be looking at this one, at the new one. I've seen the old one. I've seen the original, and it was dog shit. I hated it. I saw it in theaters. I was very disappointed. So hopefully this one's better. I'm praying, Joe. I'm really fucking praying.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. I completely forgot that this is happening. I like this. Maybe we can coordinate a Joe and Joe watch together, possibly.
Possibly.
Okay. I like this. Yes, positive. What a big switch from the Big Sick.
Yeah, exactly. We're going from that to this. All right. Any other last minute things you want to add in?
Nope. Get us out of here.
All right, everyone, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of The Big Sick if you ever watched it, or if you're just using this review and being like, yeah, this is what I think based on your review. Whatever works. Let us know what your favorite rom-com sort of movie is. I probably haven't seen it, but Joe probably has. And so look forward to the Suicide Squad review next week. So, everyone, with that, we will say we love you, we leave you, and goodbye.